Cairo Bazaar is coming out soon, the next map in Battlefield Season 3. And just like with Golmud Railway at the beginning of Season 3, there's now a blog post where this reworked version of Cairo Bazaar is compared with Grand Bazaar from Battlefield 3. And we're going to take a look at the whole thing, I'd say. And here we always have nice little before and after pictures, just like it was with Golmud Railway. Plus a bit of text. And we're going to work our way through that right now. So first of all, we have an overview of Cairo Bazaar right here. Veterans, of course, still remember Grand Bazaar. Up here is the NATO spawn. Down here, the Pax Armada spawn. Yeah, kept rather rectangular. The street around it, where the tanks will be roaming around again. And inside here is just CQC. Again, a small map, more for infantry, but not quite as much. So you can probably compare it a bit to Cairo, I think. It will definitely play similarly, but we will see about that, of course. Right at the beginning, it's important to say first that they left the map more or less the same in its structure. With Golmud Railway, there were quite big changes regarding the structure, especially in the middle. The whole map was also shrunk a bit. That's apparently not supposed to be the case with Cairo Bazaar. Here, more emphasis is apparently placed on making the map resemble the Battlefield 3 original more closely. However, there are apparently a few more flanking opportunities so that we don't, get steamrolled like that. That is a big problem in Battlefield 6 after all. So much for the changes for now. Structure, more or less the same. A few more routes and alleys and roofing, so that you can maybe slip past the enemy after all and capture a point somewhere to break the lockdown like that again. And now let's explore the new map sector by sector. Here in this picture, that's Bazaar and the Marketplace. Yeah, you definitely recognize that, but here you can already see quite well that the rough structure is actually somehow stayed the same. So we have this house here in the Battlefield 3 map, for example. Yeah, that's exactly the same here. And this archway with the covered market stalls is exactly the same. It's a bit nicer, a bit more colorful, right? Reminds you definitely of Cairo, just for the colors and so on. In any case, very beautiful and will probably have the same vibe. How much of it is actually destructible, we'll find out then. I'm betting on quite a lot. And since we are on the topic of destruction, I can just read out and quote something there. I think that's quite good. For safe navigation through the new bazaar, tactical destruction is essential. Destroying walls not only creates new entrances and exits, but also leaves behind piles of rubble for cover. So new entrances and exits like on Hagenthal, where you can smash a wall and then you can hop through there. That is of course new now in Battlefield 6 in combination with crates and archway pillars, not to mention the smoke grenades of the support class, the smoke launcher and the deployable cover. There is no good reason to be completely exposed in this deadly alley. So deadly alley. Anyone who has ever played Grand Bazaar knows exactly what this is about. The alley. I mean, the alley of death. No. Wait. Yeah, that'll definitely be fun with the time to kill and the net code. Next we have the boulevard. That is of course a part of the street that leads around the whole thing, around the central block, and that's where the IFVs will probably hang out. Here too, you can already see on the before and after comparison, relatively open in the Battlefield 3 version. You were unprotected when it comes to cover and tanks, so you died very quickly there as infantry. They've added a little bit here. So in 3, there was still this bridge, for whoever remembers it, often used by snipers. Here we now have these archways and much more cover, abandoned vehicles and so on. So as infantry, this will definitely play a bit nicer in comparison, since you have a bit more cover. And of course, this long street will continue to be heavily populated by snipers, I'd claim. Here we have the same boulevard again. We can already see the structure is relatively similar. There's a slightly elevated street here, just like here. It went across like that there too. Here's the archway again that we just saw. Yeah, but it also reflects what you already saw in the picture before, simply more cover for infantry, and it just looks more alive too. And I must say, I simply like the color palette better overall than on the old map. Everything was so gray, bluish, and here it's, sepia colors, rather a bit warmer. Plaza and checkpoint next, that's what it's called here. Those are of course also very prominent points. Here we see two. They've rebuilt it nicely, Cairo style, with this giant square here. Here's a broken tank, so everything is scarred by war. The hotel is blazing with fire. That looks a bit different here in Battlefield 3 too. That was more containerville, so to say, right? With lots of containers and so on. Yeah, so from the visuals, I find the Battlefield 6 map somehow more appealing, I must say. How it plays, we will see. Whether infantry actually has slightly better cover, we'll see if it's also such a meat grinder. I strongly assume so, at least in the middle passage. We also have a few photos of that. Here, for example, is the famous Banana Alley. Yeah, you know it, relatively little cover in the Battlefield 3 variant. It looks a bit better here, but here too, the rough structure has been kept. So here, these washing machines or whatever that's supposed to be was then replaced here by this. How much of it is destructible and then remains after the fight? We'll have to be curious about that. And here we have the entrance to the bazaar, to this bazaar street. And that is then the most famous street on this map, I'd say. The bazaar street, where the small paths will also branch off to the left and right. Somewhere here, I believe, the banana alley should come out. That's what it looks like now. Yeah, so this here doesn't look like solid cover to me though. Whether all of this stays standing, so these thin wooden walls here or whatever it is, I dare to doubt it. There are a few blocks still here that seem to be made of stone. We'll have to see how much cover you actually have there. This is what the whole thing looks like in action then, and you can already see that is close quarters through and through. Whether such a map was really needed again directly in Battlefield 6 is certainly a point of discussion that you could have. Good thing there's still the cover that the support class can also take along, the deployable one, which we can see in front. That will definitely be a useful tool for this map. Fans of close quarters will definitely have their fun on this, I think. And then back to the overview here. NATO HQ, here we see the plaza with the pillars. That's the burning hotel. Then it goes over here, checkpoint. We haven't really seen photos from this side now. I'm looking closer. That definitely looks a bit more destroyed still. Everything on the right side. So checkpoint here, we haven't seen anything of that yet. Actually, here is then this street that we just saw. Banana Alley should go down roughly here, which then ends here on the marketplace. Here is the Pax Armada HQ then. It then goes to Boulevard, which we just saw. This overpass or this elevated street, which then comes out here again. So it is very close quarters, right? Depending on where you are on the map, of course. So things will really get down to business here in the middle. You'll have a bit of room out here around the edges. That's popular with snipers definitely. And paths are still somehow going in and out everywhere. And what the new paths are that we can then shovel free or blow open or smash with a hammer, like holes in the walls, etc. That will show itself when we play. It won't be much longer. What do you think of the rework? Feel free to write it down in the comments. Leave a sub. You can, of course, find more videos here. Exactly now. Sub here. You know what to do. And I'm excited for the new map. I didn't celebrate it that much back in the days, I have to say, but we'll see. Until the next video. Bye.